Effort without standard is just well-dressed chaos. High-performing men don't fail because they're soft. They fail because they don't respect structure. They confuse pain with progress and grit with leadership. Founder, nine-figure company. Sharp, decisive, respected. Training 6 days a week. Fasted cardio, cold plunges, strict keto. 2 weeks in, I'm suffering, so this must be working. I just need more time. This is what disciplined men do. He's not building a body, he's protecting an identity, because the lie is simple. If it hurts, it must be right. Pain feels masculine. Standards feel boring. And boring is exactly what elite men avoid until they realize boring is what wins. Welcome back to Iron Suits, where strength wears the crown. I am your host, Marwan Killu. Suffering is easy. Standards, on the other hand, require self-respect. And that's why suffering is so attractive. A narrative. Something to point out when the results aren't there. At least I'm doing something. At least I'm disciplined. At least I'm not like them. But standards don't give you a story. They give you results. Suffering gives you a story. You could talk about a 5 a.m. wake up, cold shower, the fasted workout. You probably can talk about 75 hard if you like, all right, where you're doing 2-a-day workouts. And, I had a cold shower and I read 10 pages. And I went on a diet for 75 days where I gave up whiskey and everything else that makes client dinners fun, right? So I'm going there looking at the menu. Oh, I can't have this, I can't have that. And client dinners turned into more of a negotiation, right? It gives you something to talk about in dinner. Oh, no, I'm not drinking today. I'm on this diet. You can tell your team, your wife, your friends, I'm locked in. And suffering is proof of seriousness. It's visible. It's dramatic. It earns respect. Standards, on the other hand, don't do that. Standards are you eat protein every meal, you go to bed at the same time every day, or most days. You train 3-4 days a week, same days, same time. No one's impressed by that. See, if you come and train with me and you look at this guy and you think, oh, he's got breaks for abs, he's got a full six-pack, he's jacked, right? He's got a good body, but you've been training in the gym, doesn't look like he's pushing that hard, right? I push until the point of near failure, especially on the last set. I rest for 2 minutes to 2 to 3 minutes between sets. And that's it. I don't go to the gym in a pool, working out with a pool of sweat on the floor, towel next to me and wiping my bowel, unless I'm doing Bulgarian split squats in the summer. No, it's a joke. I don't. I just I push hard, and so you look at me training, you're thinking, how can he get such a body? It's like, is he on something, or is he not training hard enough? Like, it's boring. I train Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. I go to bed at about 10 o'clock most days. I eat protein with every meal. I eat the similar calories pretty much every day, right? Or the same meals. That's not impressive, right? It's not, it's boring. And this is what I mean, but it works. Boring is what actually works. I'm going to tell you a quick story that I told many times on this podcast about suffering before. I used to do barbell complexes back in my younger days, crazy younger days. Yeah, I'm 48 now. I think it's back when I was 20, no, 30s probably, maybe even earlier. Right. For those of you that have been training a while or don't know, um, barbell complexes are brutal. So you pick four exercise, I think it is. So it's not bench, is deadlift, squat, row, and overhead press, and probably a chin up as well. You can throw in there. So you take your eight rep max and you do 5 reps on 5 reps or 6 reps, one of the two, back to back. Okay, no rest. So it's like a circuit. They call it barbell, blood on a barbell, whatever. There's some fancy marketing names. Anyway, so I did that, and like you keep going for 20, 25 minutes, and you are suffering. You are literally like gasping for air, right? The last few reps are agony. You can barely push you know, your form is like it's going to bits. You're sweating. You're like, your heart rate has gone up to like 160, 170. It's almost cardio zone, right? Almost like doing a sprinting. Coupled with that, I was going on low carbs, and then I'm going in the gym, and not in the gym. I was going in the sauna for an hour at a time. Okay, that's fucking crazy. I can tell you that. That was some batshit crazy stuff that I used to do. And it was great because you tell everyone, yeah, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And everyone looks at you and go, wow, this guy's working real hard, right? It must be doing something. It didn't move the needle one bit. It didn't move the needle one bit. Okay. So that's basically a long story short, all which sort of led to a nervous system breakdown where I couldn't even, uh, basically I went from pushing 20 odd, 24, 26 kg dumbbells over my head to not being able to push 2 kilograms with my left. And that's how bad things are. The whole left side needed rebuilding. All because of the stupid stuff that I did. Anyway, that's another story for another day. Suffering is flexible. You can turn it on when you need to feel like you're in control. You can turn it off when it's inconvenient. But standards, they don't bend. Standards are there when you don't feel like it, when no one's watching, when it's Tuesday and you're tired. And that's why suffering feels safer, because suffering doesn't demand consistency. It demands drama. And drama is something you can perform. Consistency is something you have to be. So think about the last extreme program that you tried, keto, paleo, Whole30, a 30-day challenge, something with rules, with structure, with intensity. You went hard for 3 weeks, maybe 4, maybe 6 if conditions were perfect. Then something broke. Travel, stress, product launch, Q4, and you fell off. Not gradually, completely. I mean, like 0 to 60, and then 60 to 0. And then here's a question that no one asks. What's the longest you've ever maintained something boring? Not a challenge, not a program, just something you do every week. Same time, same effort, boring. Most men can't answer that because they've never done it. They've only ever done extremes, and extreme has never worked. Not once, but they keep choosing it. because extreme feels serious. Boring feels like giving up. I've got a quick question for you. When was the last time you stuck to something boring? Not a 30-day challenge, not a detox, not a reset, just this is what I do now. Most high performers can't answer that because boring doesn't give them an emotional payoff. Boring doesn't prove anything, and they need to prove something to themselves, to their wives, partners, to the guy in the mirror who doesn't look how he's supposed to look. So they choose suffering because suffering feels like progress, even when nothing's changing. And here's a deeper issue. Suffering gives you a relationship with yourself that feels earned, right? You suffer, so you matter. You sacrifice, so you're worthy. You endure, so you're serious. Because without the suffering, who are you? Just a guy eating protein and going to bed on time. That doesn't feel important, so you reject it. Not consciously, but you reject it. Because it doesn't give you the emotional payoff that you're addicted to. Right? Suffering turns discipline into a transaction instead of a standard. You suffer so you feel like you earn something. The cheat meal, the rest day, the night off. You've paid your dues. You've done the hard thing. So now you get to coast. Standards don't work like that. Standards are non-negotiable. You don't earn a day off from your standards. They're just what you do. And that feels exposing because if you have standards and you still break them, then what does that say about you? It says you're human, but you're not trying to be human. You're trying to be exceptional. So you'd rather suffer in extremes than maintain boring standards because extremes let you feel exceptional without changing. And that's a trap. A trap is suffering feels like change. It feels like you're moving, progressing, getting somewhere, but you're not. You're just creating that debt. Debt that you'll have to pay off later with another round of chaos. So it's like the debt collectors from Brooklyn, the loan shark from Brooklyn, who comes in for the money that you owe. Actually, let me time to give you another short story. I spoke about in a previous podcast as well. I did this extreme diet called an extreme fat loss diet. Funny enough, it was so extreme, and it goes like this. So it goes in 5 day spells. Is it spells? Oh, 5 day cycles. So cheat day. Day one is cheat day. Day two is fast day. Day three is shake day. Day four moderate carb day. And day 5 is protein only day. So start off with day one. Obviously, cheat day means you can eat anything you want, right? Every single thing. And that alone created a bad relationship with food. So you just go in there with the aim of just binging. So 6,000 calories, 5,000 calories, Five Guys, Domino's, biscuits, ice cream, you name it. Haagen-Dazs. All right. Next day, on that day, you do sort of a strength training workout. And I think you do, is it cardio? You do, I think it's cardio as well. The next day, you do a fast day where you have nothing but water a whole day, 24 hours of fasting. You do 3 workouts that day. Fasted cardio, you do a strength training workout, and then you do HIIT cardio. Day 3, shake only. Three protein shakes, and like I'm talking about pure whey protein, like the 100 calories or whatever in each one. So say 300 calories that day. Again, 3 workouts, 1 weight, 2 cardio, one including a HIIT, and obviously fasted. Day 4 is moderate protein, moderate carb day. So you have a little bit of carbs. And then again, 3 workouts that day. Day 5 is protein only day and no fat. Okay. Think about egg whites only, chicken breast only, no seasoning, no carbs. Okay. No fat. It's just bland. Okay. And you keep going. Again, like the aim is to deplete your sort of glycogen stores. And it's 3 workouts, 2 cardio, 1 weights workout. And then you keep going again until you've lost the amount of weight that you want to lose. And so I've lost like 20, 30 pounds and looked better. But my body was a mess. All right. It was a mess. And when I stopped doing that, then I gained back all the sort of the weight plus interest. Right. The interest rate was very high. So you've had this thought before, maybe after a brutal workout or a week of eating clean, you say to yourself, I earned this. The pizza, the drinks, the night where you just say, fuck it. And you don't feel guilty. You feel entitled because you suffered. Do you earn the right to skip brushing your teeth? Do you earn a pass on showing up to work? No, because those are standards. They're not rewards. They're not punishments. They're just what you do. But with your body, you've turned everything into a transaction. Suffer now, reward later. And the cycle never ends because the suffering isn't building anything. It's just creating the debt that you have to pay off with chaos. And deep down, you know this. You've been in the cycle long enough to know it doesn't work. But you stay in it because leaving the cycle means facing something you're not ready to face, which is you don't trust yourself without the drama. You don't know how to show up quietly. You don't know how to be consistent without the emotional highs and lows. And that's terrifying because if you can't do boring, what does that say about you? Imagine you're building a company, you work 80 hours 1 week, burn out, take 2 weeks off, come back, sprint again. Would you call that discipline? Or would you call it unsustainable? You'd call it unsustainable because you can't build infrastructure on intensity. You build it on systems, daily operations, boring meetings, non-negotiables. Your body isn't a project, it's infrastructure. And infrastructure doesn't run on suffering, it runs on standards. But standards require something suffering doesn't. They require you to trust yourself when it's not exciting, when there's no payoff, no applause, no story to tell. Just, you said you'd do it, so you do it. That's a different kind of commitment. And that's a kind that most men avoid because it's exposing. Suffering is loud, standards are quiet, and most high performers are addicted to the noise. The suffering proves they're in it. But standards don't prove anything to anyone else. They only prove something to you. And that's a problem because deep down, you don't trust that you're enough of an audience. You need external validation. You need someone to see that you're suffering and think, damn, he's serious. Just like that I told you guys earlier about my barbell complexes. People look at me thinking, this guy's serious. Whereas people look at me now for the untrained, somebody who looks at me working out, untrained eye, think this guy is not really trying hard enough. He's not sweating. He's not breathing so heavily that he can't, like he's on the floor. Except when I'm doing barbell complexes. But no one's watching you eat protein at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock on a Wednesday in the morning, whatever time you have your breakfast. No one is applauding you for going to bed on time. And the lack of applause feels like a lack of progress. So you choose suffering because suffering gets attention, even if it's just from yourself. And this is where it gets psychological. The attention that you're seeking isn't really external, it's internal. You need to feel like you're doing something significant, because without that feeling, you don't trust that it's working. And if you don't trust it's working, you quit. So you choose methods that feel significant, methods that hurt, that require sacrifice, that prove you're serious. But significance and effectiveness aren't the same thing. And you've been confusing the two for years. Suffering feels safer than standards because suffering doesn't require you to trust yourself. You just have to endure. Grit your teeth, white knuckle it, push through. Standards require something else. They require you to believe that you'll do the thing even when no one's watching. Even when it doesn't feel hard. Even when it's boring. And you're not sure you believe that, because every time you've tried to maintain standards, you've eventually broken them. So you stay in the suffering cycle, because at least suffering feels like you're trying. Standards feel like exposure. They say, this is who I am. And if you don't live up to them, then you're not who you thought you were. So you avoid the test by choosing suffering instead. Because suffering lets you fail without feeling like a failure. You can always say, I just went a bit too hard. I'm too extreme. That's a better story than saying I couldn't maintain basic standards. And that's exactly what I did. So you protect the story by avoiding the standards, and the cycle continues. If suffering worked, you would already be done. Look, suffering is performance. Standards are a commitment. And the uncomfortable truth is this: you've been performing for a long time. Because performing feels masculine. It feels like control. But it's not. It's just noise. Real control is quiet. It's, you said you'd do it, so you do it. No drama, no redemption arc, no one's watching, just you and your word. And I know that doesn't feel significant. It's not supposed to. Significance is what you've been chasing, and it's kept you exactly where you are. The body is a scoreboard for identity. And right now, your scoreboard says, I need to suffer to feel worthy. But you don't. You need standards, because standards don't care how you feel. They're just there every day, waiting for you to decide who you actually are. Not who you are when you're inspired, not who you are when conditions are perfect, who you are on a random Tuesday when no one is watching. That's a real test, and you've been avoiding it because you're afraid you won't pass. But the only way to pass is to stop performing and start committing to something boring, to something quiet, to something that doesn't give you a story, just a result. You don't need more intensity. You need rules you actually follow, because the strongest men in the room aren't the ones suffering the most. They're the ones who stopped lying to themselves. I hope this episode was helpful for you guys. If it was, make sure you share it with another leader, because as iron sharpeneth iron, so one man sharpeneth another, and that's how we spread the message. Please leave me a message on iTunes, good or bad. I'd love to hear from you. Good would be even better. Follow me on my socials. I'm on Facebook.com, Marwan Killu, and LinkedIn.com, Marwan Killu Fitness. I am also on YouTube. You can see this podcast on YouTube as well, which is under Marwan Killu. So if you don't know what I look like and you will see me, you can see me on there. And I'll see you guys on the next episode. Have a great day.